Here's some important post tips for big men. I'm excited to have as my guest to talk with today about this topic, Luke Rosinski. Luke is an assistant coach at Hargrave Military Academy and also played and started at the Division One level at New Hampshire. Luke, it's good to have you on here today. Talk about some common mistakes you see in some of the young big men in today's game and some of the things that can be done to correct them.
Yeah, Tyler, of course. I greatly appreciate you having me on to talk about this topic. Big men, I think in today's day and age, in the recruiting world, big men are something that are very crucial. Big men need to be taught properly on how to develop their game. I would say it would first start with me, at least what I see, that needs to be careful with the development is the grassroots. I see, with the game changing at a high rate, big men from, back in the day, you had, Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem Olajuwon, you had guys like Yao Ming. You still have that kind of, five man who's a bruiser that really stays inside, but now you have a big now in today's game where it's kind of almost positionless. A big that's got to be able to shoot the three, maybe be able to put it on the deck, can read, can switch on defense while also guarding the paint and still have that positional size. So I would say the first number one step is to really identify as a player what your type of, how you play as a big man. If you are more of a bruiser, if you are more of someone who's a skilled player, I think it's important to be well-rounded. But I think to know your game and know what you do well, but also know what you need to work on is very crucial. If you're a four-man that's, a stretch player, being able to develop that, or if you're, an inside four-man, a post four-man, knowing how to be successful in that way, or if you're, a true five, you're a back-to-the-basket five, and just knowing, this is what I need to work on. This is what I need to do to be a Division I player, achieve my dreams at any level. Play professionally or anything like that. But I would say that's the biggest thing. Is I would say coaches really developing players at the grassroots level to, just because someone's tall, not necessarily just sticking them in the post, but kind of giving them development all around, having them work on their shooting, having them work on their pick and pop, their pick and roll, their face-up game, their back to the basket, their spot-ups, teaching them how to duck in. I mean, feet, as a lot of coaches know, is so important for bigs. Having the proper balance, the proper footwork. I think, the physical aspect too of growing into your body. Because a lot of times you see a lot of young bigs, through development, they're not quite there yet just because they need to, they need to grow. They need to put some weight on. Physically being ready is super important as well.
Based on what you, the listener, have seen, I would love to see in the comment section just any mistakes you have observed in big men players consistently, or any tips you have for overcoming what we've talked about. Luke, how do you approach developing post players' footwork and positioning in the paint?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, as I was saying a little bit before, feet and footwork is so crucial. I would arguably say that might be the most important area to develop as a big. I think there's really three major areas, and kind of footwork goes into that. I would say there's offense, there's defense, there's the physical aspect, there's the mental aspect, and there's kind of the game feel. And I think footwork kind of goes into those three areas. But for example, pick and roll, teaching people, some coaches, they want to do a close roll. Some coaches, prefer an open roll. I'm a little biased. I like the open roll when I was a screener. And having the proper screening angles, teaching guys, this is where we want your foot placement. We want it in a 45-degree angle, if you're setting a flat screen, teaching the bigs the proper terminology. Also, teaching bigs not to travel, teaching them the proper steps, teaching them every type of pivot, right foot turnaround, left foot seal, right foot seal, being able to be able to use their body and physicality by keeping their balance, by also making good pivot moves, and keeping their possession alive, without forcing up an off-balance shot offensively. I would also say ducking in, having the footwork teaching on duck ins, back to the basket as well, wedging, post-ups, positions. Position basketball is so important as a true big, especially if you're an inside player, getting as close as you can to the basket. I think a common misconception for post players is, hey, I'm going to post up on the block. But if you can bury your man and get right to the hoop and put him in the charge circle and dunk it when you catch the ball, that's huge. And then I would say defensively, obviously, like angles. Angles is so big. We had a young man this past year at Hargrave. And he was great. His name was Ralph Akuda. He's a 7'1" big, and he was a great, on-ball defender. If there were switch situations, we iced with him a lot, but, he's only been playing basketball for 3 or 4 years, and he grew tremendously. We were in the gym, almost every night, and we worked on footwork, ladder drills, using a ladder to finishing series, a bunch of different footwork things, jump rope, doing, toe touches, kind of all different kinds of things, working on his agility and quickness and speed with his feet. I think as a defender, when you're guarding the post, you don't want a post player outside of your feet. So if a guy has the ball offensively and you're guarding the post, if he gets outside of your feet, you're dead. So it's very important as a post defender to be able to wall up. You got to be able to give up your chest. You got to be able to take hard hits as a big, and you got to make sure you don't let him outside your feet and through his pivoting series and all that kind of stuff. And help side also, and then teaching ball screen coverage. So it's definitely something that's pretty intricate. And I think also teaching guys that kind of mindset of positioning as well. I think is really important. But I think teaching guys the terminology, repping it every single day. Like with Ralph Akuda, we were in the gym almost every night, working on angles, working on his feet, working on his balance, repping to perfection is so important.
Be sure to share your own experiences and any drills, anything that you have that could potentially improve footwork in basketball. We love to hear the comment section, your experience. Ralph Akuda, who's going to play Division I basketball at Drexel, and Luke, and also, what would you say about improving for big men their rebounding skills?
Yeah, I would say rebounding is, as a player, I loved, rebounding. That was one of my roles on the team and in college. And I would say, physicality is huge, initiating the contact. So we do rebounding drills here. We'll do 1-on-1, 2-on-2. We'll do 5-on-5, circle rebound, circle the wagon, some people call it, or war rebound, and different things like that. But it's also teaching the technical and tactical skills. So reaction time. So one thing you can do is, some bigs, sometimes they struggle catching the ball. You can do different things where you stand behind them, throw a tennis ball really fast off the wall, different directions when they don't expect it, and they practice reaction time, grabbing the ball. You could do it with the basketball as well. Different ways of the ball coming off the rim. If someone's shooting on the opposite wing, the ball is most likely going to go over the hoop, bounce off the rim, and go the other way. So just teaching kind of the nuances of the game and the knowledge that's been passed down of how to properly rebound, having your hands up, hitting your man on offense, creating that contact, using your feet and essentially pivoting, getting your, butt on the offensive man, driving him back. And then a lot of times people forget to release, you know what I mean? Bigs, they'll hit, make contact, but they won't always go get the ball. So that's so important, is once you hit that contact, you're physical, you drive him back. You need to go release and get the ball. You got to explode up, get the ball right off the rim. So that's something that's super important.
What advice do you have for big men who are looking to expand that offensive skill set beyond the paint?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say, like I was saying earlier, the big man position, so many programs, they go 5 out, or they do the Princeton offense, or they work out of the elbow, or they just might use the dunker spot, or they go 4 out, 1 in. The 5 has to be so versatile in today's game. I mean, you see guys like Nikola Jokic, who's super versatile. Some people even say Giannis sometimes will play the 5 on the Bucks. They'll switch him, go small, and put him as the largest player. So, with that post player position, it's a really versatile position, and I think a lot of different offenses. And as a big, if you want to put yourself in the best position recruiting-wise, you got to be versatile. You got to be able to pass out of the high post, high-low. You got to be able to pass at the top of the key with Princeton action, split cuts, be able to make reads, dribble handoff. Like I said earlier, feet so important. I would say mainly repping. Very important to rep pick and roll. Very important to rep pick and pop. Face up, catching the mid post, I think is valuable. Back to the basket, spot up shooting, in the trail spot, I think is a big area where bigs can definitely improve and work on, that will make them effective. Because in today's game, if you're a 5-man that can, bang inside and be physical, but also step out and hit a 3, that opens up the floor so much and is so dynamic. And then also, being physical, being able to duck in. And the truth is, my coach in college, he used to say, Luke, man, you want the ball, go get it off the glass. So that's something, teaching that mindset, that relentless rebounding mentality, going out there, getting the ball off the glass and, finishing through contact, but also having the IQ and the feel. If you get the ball in the poster, if you get the ball off the glass, if you get doubled, being able to, kick it out to an open teammate for an open 3. Sometimes that's the best times to kick it out is off a rebound or off a post feed. You got a split cut, you can hit the cutter, or you can, kick it out for an open 3. So that's something that's, we like to teach here at Hargrave with our post development is, making the right reads, and setting great screen angles, and really just opening everything up offensively.
And how important is communication between big men and the guards on the court, and how do you emphasize this in your coaching?
Yeah, Tyler, I think that's a huge point. Communication is almost everything. As a big man, you need to be the loudest person on the floor, because most times you are in the back of the defense, so you see everything, so you got to call out. And here at practice at Hargrave, we're pretty serious with that because, at our level, there's 18, 19-year-old grown men on the floor. And sometimes if you got a 7-foot kid setting the screen and they don't see it and they get nailed, that could be, a concussion, that could be an injury. So it's super, super valuable for big men to learn, but vitally important for them to, yell as loud as they can, to help out their teammate, their brother, hey, screen right, screen left, communicate. I'm hedging, I'm icing, I'm flat, I'm level, constantly talking help side, like I'm with you on your right. I got help side in the paint. That's something that's super valuable and super important. And college coaches look at that. When I was a player, I think that, I like to think I was a good high school recruit, and I worked hard, but I think that's something that really helped me with my recruitment to the Division I level is I just over communicated. I constantly talked, being loud is so important, and just helping guys get out of that shell. I think sometimes bigs can be quiet, but just teaching them, hey, you got to learn that voice. You got to get it out of you. You got to learn that voice and get loud and help out your teammates and constantly talk to them. So that's something that's super important. And offensively as well, calling for the ball. If you got a small guy on you, you demanding the ball, calling for the ball, posting up, making reads, pointing, all different kinds of things. So that's something super valuable. And I think it also is infectious too. It gets the team going, gets the team excited. If one person communicates, I think more people start to communicate.
And flipping the topic a little bit, Luke, talk about your career at Hargrave Military Academy and the team this year.
Yeah, so I'm super excited. I think, for me at Hargrave, I was a graduate assistant prior to last year at University of North Carolina, Greensboro under Mike Jones. I was graduate assistant there for 2 years and got my master's degree and everything. So when I got the opportunity here at Hargrave under Coach Vesci, I was super grateful. that he, brought me on board with the staff and everything. And, it's been a really great experience. Been doing recruiting, helping teach defense in practice, like we're talking about with big man development, doing a lot of big man development, but also player development in general, sending emails out, helping guys get recruited, clipping up film, sending to colleges, clipping up raw game film and all that kind of stuff. But also I actually live at Hargrave, so it's a home away from home. So I'm kind of like a dorm parent, so I'm with the guys a lot. I also work in admissions, so it's a lot of some great experience, a lot of working with people, and I think the best coaches are servants. So really changing lives and really getting in there, making meaningful impressions with our players and everything. But I think recruiting this year, we had a lot of goals as a team, and I'm really excited for the young men we're bringing in. They're not only going to be great basketball players, but I think they're going to be high character individuals, with grit, intensity, passion. I'm someone who's a very passionate coach. I love my players. We go to war for our guys. If someone chooses Hargrave, we say hashtag Hargrave family. We really mean it. So it's family for life, and we really love our guys. And I think on the recruiting trail, we did a really good job. And I think, our guys coming in trust us, and we trust them, and we instill confidence. And I think it's going to be truly a great year, Tyler.
Nice. And Luke, what's a cool fact about yourself? Something maybe not a lot of people know.
I'd probably say two things. Personally, a quick funny fact is I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So kind of the name Luke, growing up, my parents always, I was a Luke Skywalker and all that kind of stuff. And so it's definitely comes with the name, I guess. But I love Star Wars. I used to collect, toys and stuff growing up and Legos and all that good stuff. But I love the movies, the shows, and everything. So definitely a big Star Wars fan. And then, most importantly, I'd also say, me and you were talking about this the other day, but also my faith. I think that's something people know about me, but my faith is so important. Without Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, none of this would be possible. And
yes,
it's everything to me. So that's something I love to talk about, and I love to love to say that that's who I am, and I'm proud of it. So
nice, beautifully said. And last question, Luke, any shout outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, Tyler, for sure. I think I would say, obviously, first and foremost, like I said, shout out, Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, God. He has taken me through life, and He's been there every single step of the way, and He's carried me through sometimes. So He's always good. So shout out God, and shout out my dad. He's been super supportive of me through this entire journey. He coached me in high school. Shout out my mom. She's a coach's wife. She's always been strong and always been there and supportive. Shout out my sister. We have a really close-knit family. And then also shout out, I would say, all my coaches. Growing up, I was coached by my AU coach and trainer growing up was TJ Thompson, who's now an assistant coach at Rutgers. And he was, at the time, early 30s, really impacted my life and believed in me. And he was a servant to young men, and he really inspired me a lot, to what I do now as well, and helping young men to achieve their dreams. And, shout out Bill Herring at UNH taking a chance on me, offering me a scholarship, and Mike Jones at UNCG giving me the opportunity there. And I would say also Ahmad Thomas. He was a Hargrave guy, and he was kind of the glue that connected me to Hargrave. And, of course, shout out Coach Veschi, giving me this opportunity to be on staff with him. It's been a great experience. And then, of course, shout out Coach Jonathan Medvay, my fellow peer assistant coach. I couldn't do it without him. We're definitely in there late night in the gym and stuff. So It's been an amazing experience. And of course, shout out you, Tyler. I greatly appreciate you, getting me on your podcast and being able to talk with you. So, it's been a great experience, and I can't wait for, what the future holds with everything.
A lot of excitement going on at Hargrave Military Academy. And Luke, I want to say thank you for coming on, and be sure to stay tuned and keep up with this Hargrave Military Academy basketball program. They have their varsity team and then their postgraduate team as well. And you'll be able to find that. I'll make a separate post with their YouTube channel that you can follow. And we want to say thank you for tuning in and watching or listening. God bless you. And we will see you soon.